You wake up every morning as a prisoner, not behind bars, but behind something far more insidious, the opinions of people who don't even matter. You check your phone, and immediately your mood shifts based on likes, comments, messages. You dress for others, you speak for others, you live for others. And in doing so, you've forgotten how to live for yourself. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to tell you. Caring what others think isn't just limiting your potential, it's slowly killing who you really are. But what if I told you that nearly 2,000 years ago, a man who ruled the most powerful empire in history figured out the exact formula for breaking free from this psychological prison? His name was Marcus Aurelius. And today, you're going to learn his method for becoming psychologically untouchable. The diagnosis, your addiction to validation. Let me paint a picture of your life, and tell me if this sounds familiar. You have something important to say in a meeting, but you don't speak up because you're worried about how it might sound. You want to pursue a dream, but you don't because you're terrified of what people might think if you fail. You stay in relationships that drain you because you can't handle being seen as the bad guy. You dress a certain way, laugh at jokes that aren't funny, and agree with opinions you despise, all because you're addicted to the drug of external approval. This isn't just weakness. This is a psychological dependency that's rewiring your brain. Every time you prioritize someone else's opinion over your own authentic voice, you're literally strengthening neural pathways that make you more dependent on external validation. You're training your brain to seek its sense of worth from outside sources. Marcus Aurelius understood this trap better than anyone. As Emperor of Rome, he was surrounded by flatterers, critics, senators, and millions of citizens, all with opinions about his every decision. Yet in his private journal, later published as Meditations, he wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." But here's what most people don't understand about not caring what others think. It's not about becoming a sociopath or an asshole. It's about developing such a strong internal compass that external noise becomes irrelevant. The Stoic foundation, internal versus external locus of control. Marcus Aurelius divided the world into two categories: things within your control and things outside your control. This isn't just philosophical theory. This is practical psychology that modern research has proven to be one of the strongest predictors of mental health and success. What's within your control? Your thoughts and interpretations, your actions and responses, your values and principles, your effort and preparation, your character development. What's outside your control? Other people's opinions of you, how others interpret your actions, whether people like or dislike you, social media responses, gossip and judgment from others. The Emperor wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But here's where most people get this wrong. They think not caring what others think means becoming cold or disconnected. That's not stoicism, that's emotional numbness. True Stoic independence means you care deeply about doing the right thing, being a good person, and contributing value to the world. You just don't need external validation to confirm that you're doing it. Think about it this way. A tree doesn't grow taller because people compliment its height. It grows because that's its nature. It responds to sunlight, water, and nutrients, the things that actually matter for its development. The opinions of passers-by are completely irrelevant to its growth. The psychology of opinion addiction. Why do we care so much about what others think in the first place? It starts with evolutionary psychology. For most of human history, being rejected by the tribe meant death. Your brain is literally wired to interpret social rejection as a physical threat. But here's the problem. Your ancient brain can't tell the difference between being rejected by your survival-dependent tribe and being criticized by strangers on the internet. When someone disagrees with you on social media, your brain triggers the same fight or flight response as if you were being physically attacked. When your boss gives you critical feedback, your nervous system reacts as if you're being exiled from the tribe. This is why criticism feels so viscerally threatening. Your brain thinks you're going to die. Marcus Aurelius recognized this psychological trap and developed a mental framework to overcome it. He regularly reminded himself, remember that very little disturbs us except our own judgment on things. The emperor understood that the pain you feel from others' opinions isn't caused by their opinions. It's caused by your interpretation of those opinions and the meaning you assign to them. Here's a practical example. Two people get the same criticism from their boss. Person A thinks, I'm terrible at my job. Everyone can see I'm a fraud. I'm going to get fired. Person B thinks, this is valuable feedback that will help me improve and become more effective. Same criticism, completely different internal experience. The difference isn't in the external event, it's in the internal interpretation. The Aurelius method, 4 pillars of psychological independence. Marcus Aurelius developed 4 core practices for achieving mental independence. These aren't just ancient philosophy, they're practical tools you can implement immediately. Pillar 1. The opinion audit. Before you can stop caring what others think, you need to identify whose opinions you're actually caring about. Aurelius regularly asked himself, is this person's judgment worth considering? The brutal reality. Most of the people whose opinions control your behavior are people you don't even respect. You're letting your mood be determined by strangers on the internet, co-workers you don't like, family members who don't understand your goals, and friends who aren't where you want to be in life. The audit questions. Does this person share my values? Are they where I want to be in life? Do they actually know me well enough to judge me accurately? Will their opinion matter in 10 years? Am I seeking their approval or their wisdom? Pillar 2. The death reflection. This might sound morbid, but Marcus Aurelius regularly contemplated mortality, not to be depressed, but to gain perspective. He wrote, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. When you're on your deathbed, are you going to regret that you didn't get enough likes on Instagram? Are you going to wish you spent more time worrying about what your high school classmates thought of your career choices? The death question. Will caring about this person's opinion matter when I'm 80 years old looking back on my life? Pillar 3. The value hierarchy. Aurelius built his psychological strength on a foundation of clearly defined personal values. When you know what you stand for, other people's opinions become background noise. The value test. Before making any decision, ask yourself, does this align with my core principles? Am I acting from integrity or from fear? Will this decision make me respect myself more or less? Pillar 4. The contribution focus. Instead of asking, what will they think of me? Start asking, how can I contribute value? Marcus Aurelius wrote, in the morning when thoughts rises unwillingly, let this thought be present. I am rising to the work of a human being. When your focus shifts from impression management to value creation, something magical happens. You naturally attract respect because you're operating from authenticity rather than neediness. The resistance, why this is so hard. Let's be honest about why this is difficult. Your brain will fight you every step of the way because it's trying to keep you safe using outdated survival mechanisms. You'll experience initial anxiety when you stop pleasing people, guilt when you prioritize your own judgment, fear that people will reject or abandon you, confusion about who you are without external validation, loneliness as you distance yourself from approval-seeking relationships. This is normal. Marcus Aurelius himself struggled with this. Even as emperor, he had to constantly remind himself not to be swayed by the crowd. In his journal, he wrote, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Here's what nobody tells you. The people who get upset when you stop caring about their opinions are exactly the people whose opinions you shouldn't care about. People who truly care about you want you to be authentic and self-directed. They want you to have strong boundaries and clear values. The only people who get angry when you stop being controllable are people who were trying to control you in the first place. The transformation, what psychological independence looks like. When you master the art of not giving a fuck about others' opinions, your entire life transforms. Professionally, You speak up in meetings because you have something valuable to contribute, not because you need approval. You take calculated risks because you trust your own judgment more than others' comfort zones. Personally, you set boundaries without guilt. You say no to things that don't align with your values. You pursue goals that matter to you, regardless of whether others understand them. Socially, you attract higher quality relationships because you're operating from authenticity rather than neediness. People respect you more because you respect yourself first. Mentally, you experience dramatically less anxiety and stress because you're no longer carrying the impossible burden of managing everyone else's emotions and opinions. Marcus Aurelius described this state perfectly. Confine yourself to the present. When you're not constantly worried about what others think, you can actually be present in your own life. But here's the paradox that the emperor understood. When you stop caring what others think, people start caring more about what you think. Psychological independence is magnetic because it's so rare. Think about the people you most respect and admire. Are they constantly seeking approval? Are they changing their opinions based on social pressure? Of course not. They have a strong internal compass, and that's exactly what makes them compelling. Practical implementation, the 30-day challenge. Knowledge without action is worthless. Here's your practical roadmap for implementing Stoic psychological independence. Week 1, the awareness phase. Daily practice. Every time you catch yourself about to make a decision based on others' potential opinions, pause and ask, what would I choose if nobody else's opinion mattered? Evening reflection. Write down 3 instances where you prioritized others' opinions over your own judgment. No judgment, just awareness. Week 2, the values clarification. Daily practice. Define your top 5 core values. When facing decisions, ask, does this align with my values, or am I trying to manage others' perceptions? Weekly goal. Have one conversation where you express your authentic opinion, even if it might be unpopular. Week 3, the boundary setting. Daily practice. Say no to one request that doesn't align with your goals or values. Notice the guilt, but act anyway. Social media experiment. Post something authentic without checking how many likes or comments it gets for 24 hours. Week 4, the integration. Daily practice. Make one decision each day based solely on your internal compass, regardless of external pressure. Life assessment. Identify one area of your life where you've been living for others' approval and create a plan to change it. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The deeper psychology, why people fear your independence. Here's something crucial that most people don't understand. When you stop caring what others think, some people will try to punish you for it. This isn't personal, it's psychological. People who are controlled by others' opinions feel threatened by your independence because it reflects their own lack of freedom. Your psychological strength reminds them of their weakness, and instead of being inspired to change, many people will try to drag you back down to their level. Marcus Aurelius observed this phenomenon constantly. As emperor, he was surrounded by people who resented his philosophical approach to leadership. They wanted him to be as petty, reactive, and approval-seeking as they were. You'll encounter the guilt trippers. You've changed. You don't care about anyone anymore. The manipulators. People who try to use shame, anger, or emotional blackmail to control your decisions. The saboteurs. Those who actively try to undermine your new confidence. The abandoners. Fair, weather friends, who only liked you when you were controllable. The emperor's response to this resistance. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Don't become bitter or cruel. Simply maintain your boundaries and let your results speak for themselves. The scientific backing. Modern research confirms ancient wisdom. Modern psychology has validated what Marcus Aurelius understood 2,000 years ago. Research on locus of control shows that people with internal locus of control, those who believe they control their own destiny, have lower rates of anxiety and depression. higher achievement levels in career and personal goals, better relationships and communication skills, greater resilience in the face of setbacks, higher levels of life satisfaction and happiness. Studies on rejection sensitivity demonstrate that people who are overly concerned with others' opinions experience more stress, make poorer decisions, and have weaker immune systems. The neuroscience is clear. When you constantly seek external validation, you're literally strengthening neural pathways associated with anxiety and self-doubt. When you practice internal validation, you build psychological resilience and confidence. Marcus Aurelius didn't have access to brain scans and psychological studies, but his philosophical insights align perfectly with what we now know about optimal mental health. Advanced strategies, mastering the mindset. Once you've mastered the basics, here are advanced Stoic techniques for deepening your psychological independence. The premeditation of evils. Aurelius regularly imagined worst-case scenarios to reduce their emotional impact. Applied to opinion management. Imagine everyone you know completely rejecting your authentic self. How would you handle it? What would still matter to you? The realization, even in the worst-case scenario, you'd survive and probably thrive because you'd be free from the exhausting burden of impression management. The view from above. The emperor would imagine viewing his problems from cosmic perspective, as if looking down from space. Your co-worker's opinion of your presentation becomes laughably insignificant when viewed against the backdrop of infinity. The discipline of desire. Instead of desiring others' approval, desire your own respect. Ask yourself, what would I need to do today to increase my self-respect? Then do that, regardless of external reactions. The morning reflection. Start each day by reading Marcus Aurelius's reminder. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. This isn't about becoming cynical, it's about accepting human nature so you're not surprised or hurt when people act according to their limitations rather than your expectations. The ripple effect. How your independence transforms others. Here's the most powerful part of this transformation. When you stop caring what others think, you give them permission to do the same. Your psychological independence becomes a beacon for others who are trapped in the same prison you escaped from. Without saying a word, you demonstrate that it's possible to live authentically and still be successful, respected, and loved. Marcus Aurelius understood this responsibility. As emperor, his personal philosophy influenced an entire civilization. Your influence might be smaller in scale, but it's no less important to the people in your orbit. You'll notice friends becoming more authentic around you, family members respecting your boundaries, colleagues seeking your advice because they trust your judgment, strangers being drawn to your quiet confidence. The emperor wrote, "The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it." By transforming your relationship with others' opinions, you transform not just your own life, but potentially the lives of everyone around you. The final test, living by your own standards. The ultimate test of psychological independence isn't whether you can ignore criticism, it's whether you can maintain your standards even when no one is watching, and even when external rewards aren't immediately visible. Marcus Aurelius faced this test constantly. As emperor, he could have lived purely for pleasure, power, and praise. Instead, he chose to live according to philosophical principles that often made his life more difficult in the short term. Your test questions. Do you do the right thing even when no one will know or credit you for it? Can you maintain your values under pressure without needing others to validate your choice? Are you willing to be disliked for being authentic rather than loved for being fake? Can you find satisfaction in your own growth rather than in others' recognition of that growth? The emperor's final wisdom on this topic: accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate associates you. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means focusing your energy on what you can actually control: your character, effort, and responses. rather than wasting it on what you can't control. Others' opinions, judgments, and reactions. Conclusion: your choice. You have a choice to make right now. You can continue living as a prisoner to others' opinions, constantly shape-shifting to gain approval from people who may not even matter to you. You can keep checking your phone for validation, editing your authentic self to fit others' expectations, and living your life according to someone else's script. Or you can choose the path of Marcus Aurelius. You can decide that your own respect matters more than others' approval. You can build your life on the foundation of your own values, rather than the shifting sands of social expectations. This isn't about becoming selfish or cruel. This is about becoming so secure in your own worth that you can serve others from a place of strength rather than neediness. This is about caring so much about doing the right thing that you don't need external validation to confirm you're on the right path. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in history, yet he found his greatest strength not in others' praise, but in his own philosophical principles. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Your assignment: for the next 24 hours, make every decision as if others' opinions of that decision are completely irrelevant. Notice how different your choices become. Notice how much mental energy you reclaim. Notice how much more authentic you feel. The door to your psychological prison has been unlocked. The question is, are you brave enough to walk through it? Remember, the goal isn't to stop caring about people, it's to stop letting people's opinions control your life. There's a massive difference between the two, and mastering that difference is what separates the psychologically strong from the psychologically dependent. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more stoic wisdom that will transform how you see yourself and the world. Comment below. What's one area of your life where you've been living for others' approval instead of your own standards? Let's build a community of psychologically independent people who support each other's authentic growth.